All right, so I think this time around, chat messages a hold, not now. All right, so hey guys, Sundown here. This is gonna be my chapter review to My Hero Academia or Boku no Hero Academia 227, Sleepy. Now, like I said, this time around, my mic should be the right mic. It's the good mic, this one, rather than the laptop's default mic. So let's get down to it. I've decided to change the format yet again, so it's not going to be kind of like a live read through and then reaction. It's going to be, I've just read the chapter and I'm just going to give you kind of a live review. No notes, just kind of going through the chapter and picking up on parts that I thought were pretty cool and any part that I want to address. So let's get down to it. So yeah, so the first part we see is, and to be fair, like this is just my opinion here. I think the manga stream translations for My Hero are probably better than the J Minis Bucks translation, but the J Minis Bucks translation does seem to be a little bit more kind of foundational and very there's no it's very straightforward. There's no hidden meaning behind the words or anything like that. It just seems to be very straightforward. But I feel like the manga stream version contextualizes it a bit more. So I'm not sure which one's better. Like I prefer the J Minis Box translation for One Piece, but for My Hero I can't be sure. Anyway, we see Toga. She's laying down on the floor in this shed. She says her blood is draining away, but there's not really too much blood on the floor, so it doesn't look like she's bleeding out. And she's essentially saying, once again, I've gotten closer to you. I'm not sure who she's referring to here. This is something I picked up on in the chapter when I was reading it, so maybe you guys can let me know who she's actually referring to. I assume like a lot of her conversation usually revolves around Deku, so I'm not sure if this is her saying like, she's tried her best. She's basically on the edge of collapse, and she's now a lot more like Deku. So then we go to the Detnerat kind of leader. I've forgotten his name, and he talks once again about the kind of concept behind this superpower liberation army, and he talks about Toga and how she lives in her own world. People call her abnormal. She's a villain. Who made her that way and all that. So basically what he's trying to say is that the masses have this concept of normality and stuff like that. We see it in today's day and age as well, but the masses have this concept of normality and what is essentially the straight path and the norm. And in this world where they have quirks and they have these superpowers and they're all multi-ability, multifaceted individuals, they don't have this, they shouldn't have this mold, and humanity doesn't really have a mold any longer to kind of adhere to. So, and it's his concept here is that Curious wanted to use Toga to prove this, to show them the truth. And I kind of argue this point. I'm thinking Curious was more trying to figure out why Toga had gone from this like straight A student. She wasn't really a straight A student, from this like nice normal human girl to being like the crazy blood-sucking ninja terrifying martial artist that she's become. So I think Curious is more looking for a reason as to what triggered you to go apeshit, what triggered your change from being this normal person into this insane mass murderer, whereas this Detner leader seems to have twisted his and that's probably the story behind him, which is he twists everything they do into a more noble sounding cause. But he's making it look like they were trying to use Toga to prove that humanity no longer has a mold, whereas Toga might just be batshit crazy. So we then have the Gorillas guy come in, and he's talking about, we've just lost a valuable asset in Curious, and a lot of our people are basically getting wrecked. Detner guy sheds a few what look to be crocodile tears. I think he might be that type of guy. He doesn't really give a shit. And we see the weapons broker for the League of Villains, I've forgotten his name, Giran. We see him just looking at the leader of Detnerat, like, was his name Kiria? I think something like that. He just looks at him like, nah, this guy's obviously faking these tears. So the Gorillas guy then proceeds to talk to him about, what he makes mention of footage that they had on Curious, and like Giran's like, what the hell are you talking about? So without all that kind of with the weird interaction they have, because Gorilla's guy is definitely weird in his interaction. He tells them that they've got surveillance cameras all around this city, all around this town, and essentially they've been recording all the battles that are going on. So we have the League of Villains come to this what's what I'm looking for, this unprotected town, this town without any heroes, and they've just been attacked. It's in the clutches of evil, all that good stuff. So basically they could use this footage to twist it and then send it out to, like, because they're all like CEOs of major companies and stuff like that, so they could send it out and really get the nation to misconstrue the situation and hate the League of Villains more, gaining them more enemies and more notoriety, and then possibly an even harsher group of heroes chasing after them. So a pretty clever tactic, with Giran just kind of summarizing that these guys are batshit crazy. We then come to the best part of the chapter. So we come back to the League of Villains, who's essentially they have to fight for another hour and 20 minutes. Something Spinner's like, bruh, we are not going to fight for another hour and 20 minutes until Gigantomachia pops up. So we then have that kind of a heart seekers guy, the politician. He comes up in this van, which apparently they use in Japan. The politicians will use it to go around. They shout out to their communities every day about why they should be elected and stuff like that. So he tells them that Curious has been defeated, and everyone's going apeshit, like, oh my god, she's been defeated. What did Kiria, or whatever his name, the leader of Detnerat, say? And he said, do not let her sacrifice be in vain. So instant kind of like emotional bonus for the people. And what's his name, Mr. Compress, he actually describes it very well. This is more like it's not really an army, it's more like a religion. And I would say it's less like a religion and more like some sort of like a pervasive cult kind of thing. It's not really based on morality or character, anything which is really fundamental for religion. This is more cult-like, less morality, less distinguishing between right and wrong, less essence of character, and more let's just do whatever we want and everyone's going to kind of jump into it and follow that kind of thing. So I liked the comment that Twice makes here about religion's really making bank, and I was like, that's pretty funny. So we then get it's such a weird thing when you think about it, like if this, like trying to put some realism behind it, but the entire town or whatever is in the Miyamoto Musashi says assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Anyway, so so the whole town kind of gathers together and basically rushes and tries to group up on Shigaraki. Now this was a really, really cool part of the chapter. So with Shigaraki, what happens is his sleeplessness catches up with him. He's been fighting for, how long was it? A couple months against Gigantomachia. He's had very, very little sleep in between the kind of rest periods he's had, with Gigantomachia knocking out for about 3 hours. And if they tested him before that, he would wake up against it. So we have to realize Shigaraki has been on insomnia levels, like insane insomnia levels, amount of sleep. So he then starts to kind of a little, like his vision gets a little bit wacky. He says he can feel his body bugging out. We see from his field of vision, even though it's not really from his perspective, it's from behind him. But his vision is starting to blur and wobble a little bit. So, and he's talking about how he starts to hear things, and all this unnecessary information is flooding his mind. It's a really, really cool setup. And then we get this mini flashback in his head. So we see back in his study, we see his younger sister, whose name is Hana, which kind of hit me right in the feels, because she pulls out a picture of their grandmother, who is Nana, who was the One for All holder before All Might. And she pulls out this picture and she says it's our little secret. And she shows Tenko, who is Shigaraki. She shows him a picture of their grandmother. She's saying, this is our grandmother Nana, and she was a hero too. And someone in the comments actually made mention of this, but I'll come back to that later. So Shigaraki's talking about how he has no memories of this, but the emotions from it still remain. And in the flashback, he says, why are you showing this to me, Hana? And she said, even though Dad said all that stuff to you, it's all right. I'm on your side, Tenko. So someone in the comments, what they said was, this situation sounds like Tenko essentially made mention or something like that of wanting to become a hero, and his father kind of berated him for that. And this arc does have a lot of potential. I definitely agree with Miyamoto Musashi. Now, yeah. So the guy said that I've forgotten which comment it was. It was a comment on Manga Stream. You'll be able to find it. But essentially, Shigaraki may have made mention as a kid of wanting to be a hero, and his dad probably berated him for that. Maybe made mention of how his quirk wasn't suited for that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if that came up or not. There's really no indication of that. And Hana wanted to then, like, after seeing her dad berate her younger brother Shigaraki, or I assume younger brother. Over here, it looks like he might be younger. Um, she shows him a picture of their grandmother, who is a hero. So she's probably like, you know what, it doesn't matter what quirk you have or something like that. Our grandmother was a hero, so you can be a hero too. So maybe this is the reason why, and this guy brings it up. Maybe this is the reason why Nana wears gloves. Maybe she had the decay quirk, which would then be something that Deku would be able to access if he comes to that quirk and learns how to use it. So that would be a really, really cool kind of thing if Deku had or inherited that decay quirk or some element of it, and then he always had on him some sort of like reminder of this person that he's trying to save. I hope that's what it turns into, like a kind of Naruto Sasuke thing, but less whiny and less kind of I'll die for you. But I'm hoping Deku, rather than just treating Shigaraki as his like arch nemesis, I'm hoping he learns about him, he learns about the history of him, he learns about his parentage and who his grandmother was and stuff like that, and how he's being manipulated, because he's definitely being manipulated by All For One, or has been brainwashed and manipulated by All For One and the Doctor. So I'm hoping Deku will essentially always have this constant reminder on him using this quirk of Shigaraki, and he'll try to save Shigaraki from this path that he seems adamant to traverse. So, and obviously here Shigaraki saying, if I have these memories, I'd at least like them to be complete rather than small snippets. So he wants his memories back, but he doesn't really realize at the moment that he has been brainwashed. So flipping up onto a wall, he extends one of his arms and he just absolutely tears through this nation of people. He goes through the whole town in one swipe, and he's only using one hand, and it was such an awesome panel. Probably going to be my thumbnail, page 13, where you just Shigaraki swiping downwards at all these people, wrecking all of them. And I was like, Shigaraki's killing people in the back and he hasn't even touched them. What the hell's going on? And Spinner makes mention of this. He's like, yo, Shigaraki, like, you... And another point to make mention of here, Shigaraki actually throws up while he's doing this. So I think that's another indication of just how drained, how tired this guy is. He's well and truly not feeling so well, to put it at its kind of slightest. Anyway, so we have Spinner realizing that Shigaraki, he didn't even touch a lot of the people and they died. They just got the element of decay went into them. The quirk of decay destroyed them. So what I'm thinking is Shigaraki, we know Shigaraki's upgraded here. He's upskilled himself. But what he's learned is he doesn't need to touch a person for decay to take effect. If that person is touching that person, I think, then decay can transmit through one person into another. So I think if, for instance, in group situations like this where people are tightly packed together, Shigaraki's quirk might be a whole lot more destructive and fatal than we initially thought it was. So then Dabi sees his leader killing all these people, and he's like, yeah, okay, this is my license now to kill. I'm gonna go killing people. So this dude pops out from behind. He's got this shadowed out face, 2 circles for eyes. He's got like an Eskimo hoodie on, and his power, his quirk is ice. So now we have the traditional manga fight between the fire-wielding individual and the ice-wielding individual. Has to happen in every kind of manga where there's a magic / power-based ability. There has to be a fire versus an ice mage, or fire versus an ice power type of thing. It's always there, and it's typical. They're kind of the opposites of one another. So, and the face that Dabi makes when he sees this ice power, everyone's going kind of like ape shit again. Like, it's kind of poetic how we all think that Dabi is that son of Enji, that son of Endeavor. What was his name? Toya, who couldn't quite handle his flame quirk and wasn't good enough to kind of, or his quirk wasn't, because of how his quirk was given to him, so he didn't have that flame ice capability. He wasn't able to handle his body's heat, so he wasn't able to inherit the power that Endeavor wanted him to inherit, which is what Todoroki or Shota can do. But just the face he makes when he realizes this ice power, it kind of makes you feel that, you know, he either has kind of some sort of resentment to Shota for, like, he knows that he's been surpassed, or not even surpassed, he knows that he's been superseded by his brother, but also maybe it's a remnant or a memory of the one ice thing in his life which he probably liked, which was his mom. I assume he liked his mom. I don't know. We don't actually know that yet. So that's the end of the chapter. I really enjoyed it, and I actually really preferred this method of review. So Mike Kage, yo, what's up, G? Anyway, that's pretty much the end of this review. Let me know what you guys thought of the chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in a bit. And I've actually forgotten how to end the stream. Oh, there we go. It's a big red button. All right, see you guys in a bit.